Hi, I'm Brian Noble, CEO of Family Policy Institute of Washington.
And I'm Brad Payne, president of FPIW Action.
A couple of the disclaimers before we get started today. Nothing in this video is an endorsement of the candidate, nor the candidate's endorsement of FPIW or FPIW action. It's simply a public service to meet and greet the candidate.
All right. Well, Quentin, good morning. Thanks for
Good
joining
morning.
us.
Pleasure's mine. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, you bet. So, my first question is kind of a three-parter. If you would introduce yourself to our listeners, tell them what position you're running for, and then if you would tell us a little bit about you and your family, and then finish up with your experience for this position.
Okay, thank you. Well, my name is Quentin Morris. I've been a longtime resident of the Federal Way area, which is in the heart of the 30th Legislative District. I'm running for State Representative, Position 2. What has compelled me to take on this journey is that I have seen a lot of changes heretofore, and especially in the last 4 years, that have troubled me greatly. The Federal Way area, especially, the representatives that are actually reside in Federal Way, I don't believe are representing the larger part of the 30th district, and certainly do not represent what I feel and I sense through all of my communications is the more traditional values of our general area. That would include Algona, Pacific, a sliver of Des Moines, which is in the northwest part of this district, and a great swath of South Auburn. It's a very diverse, ethnically diverse area from a population standpoint. But a lot of these ethnicities have strong traditional values, and which goes to my platform. I believe in the family is the smallest form of self-regulation of government, and should be empowered to make the kinds of decisions in the terms of raising their children with the values of that are reflected by agency, independence, and strong traditional comportment. So I have been on the school board here in Federal Way for the past 3 years. I was compelled to do this because I was a tutor when I wasn't traveling globally. I'm an engineer. I'm a problem solver by comportment and intention. In working for a major aerospace company in the Pacific Northwest, I think we know who that might be. I retired about 5 years ago. I didn't forget my experience as a tutor. I saw a lot of what was going on around me in just in the country, the state, and I just felt like I needed to give back, with my experience and my knowledge. And I felt that the school board was the place to do that. Over the 3 years, I've been extremely frustrated because I see so much toxicity, being driven into the curriculum from above, from the state legislature and nationwide. So I decided, a couple of the bills that came down were just, the last straw. And I just said, I'm frustrated. I can't represent my, the people of Federal Way in that regard adequately at the school board level. So maybe I need to take the step up. I'm not a politician. I'm just a concerned citizen with the motivation to try to make a difference, a positive difference.
Excellent. What is your primary promise to the public if you're elected?
My primary promise is to be, if you will, a problem solver. And in that context, what I have seen is that public policy is accelerating faster and faster at a pace that does not allow the long-term view to see what the proposed solutions are to what the quote problems are. And we see it in everything around us. We've seen it in the response to the pandemic, where decisions were made, for the rollout of an experimental vaccine. We've seen it in lately, even the First Amendment, where we're not even allowed to have conversations of conscience. We're not allowed to, if you will, even we're denied informed consent. If you recall, the governor rolled out the mandate for the injection for public workers. I was a witness to some firings in the Federal Way Public School District that I thought were wrong. I made my point known, but I was told that, they were just following orders. And I just found that such an aggrieved disappointment, ethically, morally. And so what my promise is in going forward is to be that voice that challenges, these means that we're seeing aggressively presented to us by a progressive majority in our state and nationwide to defend family, to defend bodily autonomy, to defend our rights to our lives and livelihoods. So I support small business. I think we need to support the citizens' initiatives. We need a voice, to replace these progressives that rolled out these very aggressive social the social agenda. We had police interventions, the pursuit law. It was just, it created this cataclysm of auto thefts, smash and grabs. We've got it's not so much a homeless problem, it's a substance abuse problem, and the way we're dealing with it is inhuman and inhumane. So.
Okay, very good. So Quentin, what do you feel like differentiates you from your opponent?
I think the dividing lines are quite clear. As I said, I'm not a politician. I'm just a very concerned citizen that I feel that we are on the precipice of a monopolistic form of government, that is based on, quote, experts, but without any contribution and not bringing contributions to other vested parties, that have concerns. And so my opponent, the incumbent, is an acknowledged progressive. She represents a party that can't define a woman, that has very aggressive social policies that I think rob from the agency, of our general population, and relies too much on, quote, experts without opening the door to certain opinions. And we're seeing this through some of her aggressive means to, for instance, support Bob Ferguson's Truth Commission that was held up in the last legislative session. She claims that, she had a change of heart on the parental rights bill, which I don't really believe. I think she just didn't want to have to, face an election year with that standing in front of her. So it was more expedient to support the bill. And she's also done that on the pursuit law, which frankly already has had a substantial effect. It hasn't driven crime rate down to the point where it was before the rollout, but it has halved it at least. So she has in the past supported relaxed bail, and in fact I think she even supported quasi legalization of substances. So.
Awesome. Our fourth and final question is, what did you learn during the primary campaign that is positively impacting you during this general election?
So I don't have a large budget. I joke about being financed by the FBI, And what I mean by that is friends, brothers, and in-laws. It's a it truly is grassroots. It's all, independent donations. I have reached out to, various businesses and PACs and such, but they're reluctant to invest in someone that is, on the ground floor and doesn't already have some, if you will, political cachet. And so my opponent, has presented herself as a moderate. So, and some people have actually bought into it. She's not a moderate. She's an avowed progressive. She worked on Patty Murray's staff in the past, and she was endorsed by Barack Obama in her run after her first stint in the position she has. She immediately jumped into a campaign to run for U.S. Congress, I believe in the 8th district, where she was, I think, um, endorsed by Barack Obama. She failed, but then she turned and started doing this. So she's a professional politician. She's a very aggressive. She's smooth. She's good. I talked to a lot of her peers, and she is skilled, but she has different values. So the positive thing, I think, is that I have a very strong ground game here in the Federal Way area, which extends beyond. I have been hitting doors for the past, especially after the primary. Going into the primary, I was behind 59% to 41%, which is respectable, especially when you do the analysis that shows that the Dems had a 40% turnout, whereas GOP leaning conservative traditionalists, maybe out of frustration, or maybe they thought it was a done deal. They didn't, return their ballots. So we only had about a 20%. So when you look at a 4,500 vote differential in a potential, voting block of about 100,000, or let's just say we have a 50% turnout, a 50,000, that's still ground that I can make up if I have a strong ground game, and I do. I have Stand Up Federal Way, which is an activist organization that has been very strong in sponsoring and supporting the city council in Federal Way with moderate and conservative or traditional values, and they hold them accountable in the running of the city. We've stretched the boundaries, and we've gone to, the majority of these precincts, been overwhelmingly received well at the doors, and using, the various data and applications, I believe I stand a very good chance of actually prevailing. And that's my intent, and I'll serve with humility. But at the same time, my values are not, for compromise. And I think we've seen what's been going on, nationally and locally. And that's my message.
Excellent.
Very good. Well, Quentin, thank you so much for your time and for sharing with our listeners today. We appreciate you being on.
Well, I thank you, and I hope that the voters see the market difference and see that, it's time to move back towards sanity. It's less about Republican, Democrat, left and right. It's sane versus insane, and I hope that I'm recognized as one of those that will, stand for the agency of and the trust of our public.
Very good. Well, thank you again. So I'm Brad Payne with FPIW Action.
And I'm Brian Noble with FPIW. For the reminder, nothing in this video is considered an endorsement of the candidate, nor the candidate's endorsement of FPIW or FPIW Action. Like we like to say around here, go out there and defend and advance biblical values in the public square. God bless.